Hello everyone, my name is David. Today we are going to explain a movie named Game Over, released in 2019. So sit with some popcorns, relax, and enjoy this movie. The story begins with a girl who lived alone in her house, sporting heart-shaped tattoos on her hands. These 3 tattoos showcased her victory, and we'll find out more about this victory as the story unfolds. Friends, it was the month of December, and one night a killer breaks into this girl's house. Upon seeing him, the girl becomes extremely panicked and tries hard to escape, but the killer catches her. In the killer's hand was also a camera recording everything. He then wraps the girl's face with a polythene cover and ties her hands as well. Now the girl starts having trouble breathing and panics intensely. Later, we see the killer cutting off the girl's head, turning it into a football and playing with it, and setting her body on fire on a chair. Friends, this scene was extremely horrifying and gruesome. Now friends, the scene shifts, and on the same New Year's Eve of that year, we see the main lead of this story, Swapna. On the night of December 31st, she encounters an incident. Swapna goes to a party with a boy who deceives her and locks her in a room, where he commits an inappropriate act with her. At that point, he doesn't stop. He uploads her compromising videos and photos on the internet. Now, friends, a year passes. We see Swapna. Swapna lives alone in a large house with a security guard, cameras everywhere, and Kalama, who works in the house, stays with her 24/7. Here we find out that Swapna is a game designer, and hence she also enjoys playing games a lot. Swapna has a tattoo on her left wrist that resembles a heart shape. Now, friends, the incident that happened with Swapna on the night of December 34, she is still coping with that trauma, and since then she is very afraid of darkness. Even if the light goes off for a couple of seconds and it becomes dark, she gets very panicked and feels like she can't breathe. But Kalama, who stays with her, normalizes her and supports her all the time. Swapna also doesn't talk to her family, because after the incident on December 31st, she started living separately from her family. One day, Swapna suddenly starts feeling intense pain in her tattoo, but after a while, the pain also subsides. Kalama says, "You got this tattoo a year ago, so there shouldn't be any pain now. There must be some other reason for it." After that, we see Swapna going to meet her psychiatrist because she was now very afraid of the dark, and this fear was causing her a lot of distress. Here, the psychiatrist tells her that the bad incident that happened to her happened on that December 31st time, and now the new year is approaching, so you are feeling more pain and anxiety. As time passes, you will become normal again. Friends, after that, we see that while working late at night, she starts feeling pain in that tattoo again. So the next day, Swapna goes to meet the person who made this tattoo for her. The tattoo artist's name is Varsha. Varsha tells her that if there had to be a reaction, it would have happened right away. There is no meaning to pain arising after 1 year. Oh yes, one thing I forgot to tell you. Actually, some time ago, tattoos made with immortal ink have become very famous. Whenever someone's loved one or someone who is not in this world anymore, that person gets a tattoo in their memory, and in that ink, we mix a little bit of their ashes. Then permanently, that tattoo becomes in her body, which gives her satisfaction that her loved one is with her. And on the day you came to us to get a tattoo, another woman had also come to get a tattoo, and she had brought her daughter's ashes with her. So, by mistake, we used the same ink for your tattoo too. Now, friends, Swapna is shocked to hear this because someone else's ashes were now present in her body. She scolds Varsha a lot and leaves from there. Swapna comes home and tells Kalama about this, so Kalama tells her, "Don't worry, it's just a tattoo." Now, the next day, Swapna goes to get the tattoo removed, but as soon as she starts to get the tattoo removed, she starts feeling intense pain in her hand. So she gets up and leaves from there. After that, she goes to a coffee shop where she is recognized by 2 guys. They start talking to each other. "Hey, look, that's the same girl." They start showing leaked photos of Swapna to each other. Swapna understands this situation, and so she returns home. But this incident causes her a lot of panic, and now she prepares herself to commit suicide, She starts hanging herself, but at that moment, Kalama calls out from outside the gate to open it. But at this point, Swapna was already trying to hang herself, and at that moment, the lights go out. Now, due to darkness all around, Swapna gets very anxious and immediately opens the gate. After that, Kalama consoles her, but Swapna tells Kalama that she is going to see a doctor now. Instead of going to the doctor, she goes upstairs and jumps from there. Just before hitting the ground below, a car arrives there and Swapna falls on the car's windshield. In this accident, she doesn't lose her life, but both her legs get fractured, and now she will have to spend a few months in a wheelchair. One day, the doorbell rings at Swapna's house. Kalama checks from the live CCTV and sees who it is. She sees a woman there, but Swapna refuses to meet her. However, Kalama brings the woman inside the house. And friends, here comes the turning point of this story. The lady tells that her daughter Amrita was very brave. She defeated cancer 3 times, and every year, to commemorate her victory over cancer, she got a tattoo. Friends, let me tell you here. Amrita was the same girl we saw murdered at the start of the movie. The day she passed away, Amrita's mother was coming to meet her. Amrita had told her mother, "Mom, you'll also have to get a tattoo, so I'll directly go there to get it done. You come there too." But before she could do that, Amrita was murdered. Therefore, Amrita's mother got a tattoo with her ashes in her hands. And friends, Amrita's mother also reveals that Amrita was very courageous. She remained positive in every situation, and now her body's ashes are also in Swapna's body, because Swapna also had a tattoo made with that ink on her hand. Now, friends, upon hearing all this, Swapna gathers courage. She starts thinking more positively and decides that no matter what the situation, she will fight. She will not be afraid. Even though she may not win over the troubles, she will definitely fight. Then she cancels the idea of getting the tattoo removed and also calls her parents with Kalama, telling them that tomorrow morning they are coming to meet those people. But friends, we see that someone is keeping an eye on Swapna that night, just as it was on Amrita at the start. Now at night, Swapna falls asleep and Kalama turns off the light there and goes to sleep. But a few moments later, suddenly Swapna's eyes open. Just seconds before 11 o'clock, seeing darkness there, she immediately turns on the lamp, and then the tattoo on her hand starts to hurt. After that, Swapna starts hearing some noises from the window, and upon seeing this, Swapna starts calling Kalama for help. Kalama comes there and checks the gate camera, but she doesn't see anyone there. Now she calls the security guard, but there's no response from him either. Kalama starts looking out the window, but she doesn't see anyone there either. Meanwhile, Swapna was hearing voices from above the gate, and here Kalama makes a big mistake by opening the gate and going outside. As she steps out, the killer attacks and kills her. Hearing Kalama's scream, Swapna gets very scared and quickly closes the main gate from her wheelchair. Then she calls out through the microphone system, but she doesn't hear any response. Then she looks through the window and her soul trembles because Kalama was swinging on the swing, but her head was missing from her body. Suddenly, Kalama's head falls on that window, which terrifies Swapna even more. She quickly returns to her room in fear and calls the police, but then the killer turns off the house lights, causing Swapna to panic even more due to the darkness. She leaves her mobile there and heads towards the hall. As soon as she reaches outside, her wheelchair gets stuck in a curtain, causing her to fall right there. Now her hands were hurting even more. When she looks at her hands, she sees 3 tattoos in the same place. Suddenly, she sees the killer standing in front of her, holding a camera in one hand and a large sword in the other. Now Swapna tries to escape from there, but the killer catches her and strikes her with the sword. As Swapna dies, one of the 3 tattoos disappears. After that, the killer burns Swapna's body. Friends, the story doesn't end here. In fact, it starts from here. Friends, we see that Swapna wakes up from her sleep again. Swapna immediately turns on the light and looks at her hand, where she sees 2 tattoos. The message that came on her mobile last time has appeared again, and she starts hearing voices from outside. Like before, Kalama checks the CCTV and doesn't see anyone there. Here, Swapna was calling Kalama inside because she knew what would happen if she went outside. Now Kalama was about to go outside when Swapna smashes a glass bottle in her room. Hearing her voice, Kalama rushes inside, saving her life. After that, they hear voices coming from the upper rooms, but Swapna refuses to go upstairs. When they both look out the window, they see the guard's body. Seeing this, Swapna immediately calls the police, and Kalama shuts all the doors. Swapna tells the police that someone has killed the guard here. The police inquire about her appearance, and Swapna mentions that the person wore black clothes and had their face covered. They also had a camera and a sword in their hands. Upon hearing this, the police say they are coming. Afterwards, they move from the kitchen into the room, and Kalama asks Swapna how she already knew everything. Swapna was about to explain when suddenly the lights go out, causing Swapna to panic. Therefore, Kalama starts leading her to the hall, but Swapna tells her the killer is in the hall. Just then, the killer throws a lit petrol bottle into their room, causing a fire to start inside. Due to the fire inside, they both rush out of the room. Meanwhile, the killer was sitting on the sofa. Just then, we see two police officers arriving outside their house. Kalama quickly starts pushing Swapna's wheelchair towards the door, but the killer strikes Kalama there and knocks Swapna off her wheelchair. Outside, the police were trying to open the door, but nothing was visible through the window. Swapna removes the curtain from the window, and the police officer sees the killer from outside. Immediately, the police shoot the killer from outside, and he is taken down right there. Afterwards, Swapna was about to go to the police station with the officers when she sees the same killer in the car's side mirror. Swapna's eyes widen in shock as she sees 3 killers there. Yes, friends, these 3 psycho killers used to prey on girls together. Seeing this, Swapna tells them to stop the car, but due to a fire starting in the car's petrol tank, the car explodes right there. Now, friends, after this, we see Swapna waking up again from her sleep, but this time she doesn't turn on the lamp. She composes herself and already knows what is going to happen. She looks at her hand. There was only 1 tattoo left, meaning just one last life. Immediately, Swapna calls Kalama and dials the police. Meanwhile, we see 3 killers arriving outside their house. Now, those 3 killers attempt to enter her house from different routes. Swapna informs the police that there are 3 killers. They have killed the guard, and they should take this route as it's a shortcut. After that, Swapna tells Kalama, "I don't know if we'll make it, but this is our last chance, and we have to win this game no matter what." Then Swapna turns off the house lights herself, and now voices were coming from above the roof, so Kalama goes upstairs and pours petrol on that killer from above. The killer realizes something, and then Swapna drops a glass filled with fire from the window onto that killer, causing him to burn and die right there. By that time, the 2 police officers arrive there. Just then, one killer standing there with a sword hears all this. Now Kalama comes down from above into the house, but the killer was standing right in front of her. And outside the house, the killer with the sword kills those 2 police officers. Inside the house, the killer pushes Kalama downstairs from the stairs, and Kalama tells Swapna to go inside the room, but by then the butcher-like killer comes in front of her. The killer holds a knife to Swapna's neck, but Kalama stabs him in the legs. Taking advantage of this moment, Swapna grabs the footrest handle of her wheelchair and attacks the killer, injuring him. However, he pushes Swapna off the chair. Despite this, Swapna continues to strike him with the footrest handle until the killer finally dies. After that, both of them start heading inside the room, but now the last killer with the sword approaches them. The killer drags Kalama backward, and now Swapna and the killer were both inside the same room. Swapna goes near the dressing table and drops a glass on herself. When the killer approaches her to kill her, Swapna immediately thrusts a piece of glass into his throat. Finally, the last killer dies there. Just then, it's midnight, and the sound of fireworks celebrating Happy New Year begins to be heard. But friends, Swapna's house was filled with blood everywhere. However, this is how Swapna manages to survive. And friends, the movie ends here. So, friends, you must have many questions in your mind, whether all this was a game or some supernatural thing. Friends, to understand the story of this movie in a simple way, we need to look at two theories. Firstly, when Amrita's mother came to meet Swapna, Swapna gained a lot of courage, and that's when she got the idea to develop a game involving a serial killer and her own life. She developed a game where Swapna had 3 lifelines, and the serial killer also had 3 lifelines, similar to a video game. In this way, Swapna defeated that serial killer and also overcame her fear through the game. And friends, the reason this theory is here is because there was a scene in the movie where it was written, "If your life is a video game, Debut Ja are just a checkpoint." Friends, Debut Ja means that this thing has already happened to you before, and here this story is telling us that we have 2 lives. The second life starts when we realize that we have only one chance to live. And friends, the second theory is that those were the 3 lives given to that girl Amrita, due to which Swapna could change her future. Friends, you will remember Amrita survived cancer 3 times, and the ink tattooed on Swapna's hand was from her ashes, so it's possible that those 3 lives were also given to Swapna. So friends, which theory do you believe in? Let us know in the comments and subscribe to our channel to watch more amazing thriller horror movies. Thanks for watching.